A lost twin's return unveils a haunting secret in a Georgia Forester sister's spirit lives within her. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to catch our latest videos. Don't miss the chilling truth. The Georgia dusk bled orange and gray, the quiet town of Willow Creek humming with crickets until a scream shattered the calm, slicing through the diner's chatter like a blade. Dana stumbled onto Main Street, barefoot, her clothes torn, her eyes wild and unseeing, mud caking her legs as she collapsed against a lamppost, her ragged breaths drawing a crowd. Sheriff Carter's cruiser screeched to a halt, his boots hitting the pavement as he pushed through onlookers, his hand on his holster, expecting trouble but finding only a ghost from 2004. Dana, one of the lost twins, now a woman, returned from nowhere. Her face, gaunt and bruised, sparked whispers, old wounds reopening as phones flashed, capturing her trembling frame. Carter knelt, his voice steady but urgent. "Dana, where have you been?" But her lips quivered, silent, her gaze darting like a trapped animal's. No answer for Delilah, her twin, missing with her 20 years ago. The crowd pressed closer, murmurs of the old search dogs, helicopters, nothing found mixing with new fear, and Carter's deputy, Ellie, radioed for medics, her eyes scanning Dana's wrists, scarred and raw, as if bound for years. Dana's hand clutched a rusted locket, its chain broken, and when Ellie reached for it, Dana recoiled, a guttural cry escaping her. "Don't take her." The words hung, chilling, and Carter's jaw tightened, the locket's faint engraving, DTing it to the twins. Sirens wailed as the ambulance roared up, but Dana bolted, her bare feet slapping wet asphalt, weaving through cars with unnatural speed, her panic a beacon of something darker. Carter sprinted after her, his shouts lost in the storm's rising growl, rain beginning to lash the street. Dana veered into an alley, her silhouette vanishing behind a dumpster, and Carter slowed, his flashlight cutting through the gloom, finding her curled in a corner, muttering, "Lila, stay with me." The name Lila, not Delilah, sent a shiver down his spine, a clue to a mystery unburied. Ellie caught up, her breath heavy, and together they coaxed Dana out, her resistance fading as medics strapped her to a gurney, her eyes locked on the locket, unyielding. The hospital was a blur of white coats and beeping monitors, Dana sedated but restless. Her DNA rushed for confirmation, the results a bombshell. She was Dana, no doubt, but Delilah's fate hung unanswered, her silence a wall. Carter lingered, his gut churning, old case files flashing through his mind. The twins, last seen skipping home, the town's grief, the relative who'd vanished days later. As Dana slept, a call crackled through Ellie's radio. Hikers in the deep woods, miles from town, had found a rusted car, half swallowed by vines, its door ajar, a torn school uniform inside, the name Delilah stitched on the collar, a single child's shoe beside it, caked in dried blood. Carter's blood ran cold, the pieces jagged, incomplete, but the car's discovery lit a fuse, the town buzzing with dread as news vans descended, cameras flashing at the forest's edge. Ellie drove to the site, Carter beside her, the dirt road twisting through pines, rain turning it to sludge, their cruiser jolting as they reached the cordoned-off wreck. The car, a 90s sedan, reeked of rot, its interior a grave of mold and secrets. The uniform's blue fabric faded but unmistakable, the shoe's laces frayed, its sole worn as if walked to death. Carter's flashlight caught something LC, scratched metal box under the seat, locked, its surface etched with crude initials. D and D. His hands shook as he bagged it, the weight of 20 years pressing down, the twins' laughter from old photos now a scream in his mind. Back at the hospital, Dana stirred, her eyes opening, blank but haunted, and when Carter showed her a photo of the uniform, her breath hitched, her fingers clawing the sheets, but no words came, only a low moan, like grief trapped in her throat. Ellie whispered, "She's hiding something or someone," and Carter nodded, the locket, the name Lila, the car all pointing to a truth buried deep, a truth that could break Dana or free her. The forest loomed beyond the hospital window, its shadows alive, and as thunder cracked, Carter knew the car was just the start, the real horror waiting where Dana's silence led, where Delilah's ghost refused to rest. Dana's hospital room was a sterile cage, the beep of monitors a relentless pulse against the storm's muted roar beyond the window. her wrists bound loosely to the bed frame after she'd clawed at a nurse, her eyes darting like a cornered animal's, seeing nothing but the locket clutched in her trembling hand. Sheriff Carter stood in the doorway, his jaw tight, the image of Delilah's blood-caked shoe from the rusted car burning in his mind, a grim relic of 2004 that made Dana's silence louder than any scream. The town of Willow Creek buzzed outside, news vans clogging Main Street, reporters hungry for answers, but Dana offered none, her lips sealed around Delilah's fate, her mutterings of Lila, a riddle Carter couldn't crack. Deputy Ellie sat by the bed, her notepad open, her voice soft but probing. "Dana, we need to know where you've been." But Dana's gaze stayed fixed on the locket, her fingers tracing its D and D engraving, her breath hitching as if the metal held a ghost. Carter's radio crackled, pulling him into the hall, where Detective Reese, a grizzled outsider brought in for the case, waited with a stack of yellowed files, his eyes sharp despite the fatigue carving his face. "Found something," Reese said, flipping open a folder from the original investigation, his finger jabbing at a name. Amos Reed, the twins' uncle, a drifter who'd lived with their family in '04, gone days after the girls vanished, no trace, no alibi. Carter's stomach twisted, Amos's face lean, bearded, always watching flashing from memory, a man the town had suspected but never pinned. "He was too close to those girls," Reese said, his voice low. "And his truck was seen near the woods the day they went missing." Carter nodded, the rusted car's discovery aligning with Amos's old haunts, deep in the forest where kids never played. Back in the room, Dana stirred, her eyes fluttering as Dr. Patel, a psychiatrist with a calm but piercing gaze, arrived for her first session, the hospital's fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows on her clipboard. Patel untied Dana's restraints, ignoring the nurse's protests, her voice steady as she sat beside her. "Dana, I'm here to help you remember," she said, but Dana recoiled, her locket clutched tighter, a low moan escaping her lips. "Lila doesn't want to." Carter froze, the name Lila again, not Delilah, a distinction that prickled his skin, Ellie's pen pausing mid-note. Patel leaned closer, her tone gentle but firm. "Who's Lila, Dana?" But Dana's eyes glazed, her body trembling as if fighting an invisible force, her voice shifting, sharper, younger. "Don't make me go back," she said, the words not hers, the cadence eerie like a child's defiance. Patel's eyes widened, her pen scribbling furiously, and Carter exchanged a glance with Ellie. Dissociative identity disorder. Maybe a fracture from trauma, but it felt like more, like Delilah's shadow speaking through her. The session ended abruptly when Dana lunged for the locket, dropped in her panic, her scream roar as she curled into a ball, nurses rushing in with sedatives. Carter stepped out, his mind racing, Reese waiting with more files, this time a grainy photo of Amos's truck, its license plate, a partial match to a witness report from '04, spotted near the forest's edge. "He's still out there," Reese said, his voice grim, "or was until recently. That car in the woodsits got his fingerprints, I'd bet." Carter's blood ran cold, the metal box from the car still locked in evidence, its secrets unopened. But the thought of Amos, alive, watching, made his hand hover over his holster. At the station, Ellie dug deeper, pulling records of Amos's past petty theft, a dropped assault charge, a restraining order from the twins' mother years before, and found a lead, a hunting cabin, registered under Amos's alias, deep in the same woods. Carter's pulse quickened, the pieces falling too fast. Dana's silence a lock only the forest could break. Back at the hospital, Patel called Carter with an update, her voice tense. "Dana's showing signs of multiple personalities," she said. "But it's deliberate, like she's protecting someone, Lila. We need to try hypnosis." But she's resisting. Carter agreed. The name Lila, a thread to Delilah, a truth buried in Dana's fractured mind. As he hung up, a nurse burst in, her face pale, holding a hospital security tape from Dana's ward, time-stamped an hour ago. The grainy footage showed Dana, unrestrained, slipping into the hall, her movements jerky, unlike her earlier panic, her lips moving as if arguing with herself, then stopping at a window, staring into the dark, her reflection almost doubled. Carter's heart stopped, the image uncanny, and when the tape cut to Dana returning to bed, her locket was gone, left on the windowsill, as if Lila had claimed it. The station phone rang. Ellie's voice urgent. The box from the car cracked it. There's a key inside, and a map, marked with Amos's cabin. Carter's grip tightened, the forest calling, Dana's silence screaming, and the truth of Delilah's fate, waiting where Amos's shadow fell, closer than anyone feared. The Willow Creek police station buzzed with tension, the air thick with coffee and damp from the storm that wouldn't quit, its rain battering the windows as Sheriff Carter hunched over the evidence table, the rusted key and map from the car's metal box, glinting under fluorescent lights, their promise of answers tainted by dread. Detective Reese paced, his phone pressed to his ear, barking at the forensics team to hurry with the box's other contents, while Deputy Ellie sifted through Amos Reed's file, her eyes narrowing at his history of violence, the restraining order, the truck sightings near the forest in '04. Dana's hospital room, miles away, felt like the eye of this storm, her silence about Delilah a wall no one could breach, her locket left on the windowsill a haunting clue that Carter couldn't shake. The security tapes imaged Dana's doubled reflection, her lips arguing with an unseen Lila played on a loop in his mind, a fracture in reality that made the map's red X, marking Amos's cabin, feel like a descent into hell. A tech burst in, her face pale, clutching a USB drive. "We found something in the box," she said, her voice shaky. A mini DV tape, degraded but salvageable. Carter's pulse spiked, his hands trembling as he plugged the drive into the station's ancient laptop, the screen flickering to life with grainy footage. Time-stamped August 2004. The room fell silent, Reese and Ellie leaning in, as the image resolved. Two girls, Dana and Delilah, 12 years old, their faces pale, eyes wide with terror, tied to chairs in a dim wooden room, the walls lined with hunting gear, a shadowed figure moving just out of frame. Delilah's voice, small but defiant, crackled through the speakers. "You can't keep us here." And Dana's sob followed. "Lila, don't make him mad." Carter's blood ran cold. Lila, again, a name tied to Delilah but distinct, even then. The figure stepped closer, his face blurred but his build unmistakable. Amos Reed, his voice a low growl. "Quiet, or you'll regret it." The tape cut off, static swallowing the girl's cries, and Ellie's hand gripped the table, her knuckles white. "That's his cabin," she said, pointing to the map, the X burning brighter now, a beacon in the forest where answers and horrors waited. Carter's radio crackled. "Doctor," Patel's voice cutting through, "we're trying hypnosis on Danacombe, quick." The station was a blur as Carter and Reese sped to the hospital, rain sluicing off the cruiser's windshield, the tape's images searing Carter's mind, the girl's fear a weight he couldn't shed. At the hospital, Dana lay on a reclined chair, her eyes closed, Patel's voice a steady rhythm guiding her deeper, the room dim, only Carter, Reese, and a nurse watching, their breaths held. "Dana, go back to the forest," Patel said, and Dana's face twitched, her hands clenching, a low moan escaping. "I'm not Dana," she said, her voice sharp, younger. "I'm Lila, and I won't let him hurt her." Patel's eyes widened, her pen freezing, and Carter's heart stopped, the name from the tape, from Dana's mutterings, now alive in her voice. "Lila, where's Delilah?" Patel pressed, and Danasno, Lila's lips curled, a protective edge in her tone. "She's safe with me," she said, "but he's still out there watching." Reese leaned forward, his voice low. "Ask about Amos." But Patel shook her head, keeping the rhythm, her questions careful. "Lila, where were you kept?" she asked, and Dana's body tensed, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The cabin. Traps in the floor. Blood on the walls." The words hit like a fist, the tape's wooden room flashing in Carter's mind, the map's X, a confirmation. The session ended when Dana gasped, her eyes flying open, her own voice returning, panicked. "Don't make me see it." Nurses rushed in, sedating her, but Patel pulled Carter aside, her face grim. "Lila's a protector personality," she said. "Likely formed to shield Dana from trauma, but she's tied to Delilah, maybe her memory, maybe more." Carter nodded, the tape and Lila's words aligning with the cabin, Amos's shadow growing darker. Back at the station, Ellie called, her voice urgent. "The map's coordinates match a logging trail, and we found a report hunters saw smoke near that cabin last week." Carter's gut twisted. Amos alive, hiding, watching. Just as Lila warned, Reese grabbed his gear, his eyes hard. "We're going in," he said, and Carter agreed, the key from the box in his pocket, its purpose unclear but heavy with promise. As they loaded the cruiser, a fax arrived from forensics. The car's uniform had traces of Amos's DNA, mixed with Delilah's blood. A damning link. The forest loomed, its shadows alive with the twins' screams from the tape, and Carter knew the cabin held the truth about Delilah, Lila, and the monster who'd torn them apart. A truth Dana's mind had fought to bury but could no longer hide. The forest's edge swallowed the dawn, its pines clawing at a sky bruised with clouds. As Sheriff Carter's cruiser jolted along the logging trail, the map's red X a pulse in his mind. Amos Reed's cabin waiting like a trap. Detective Reese gripped the rusted key from the car's box, its jagged teeth a silent promise of secrets, while Deputy Ellie checked her holster, her eyes scanning the trees, the video footage of Dana and Delilah's captivity playing on a loop in her head, their terrified faces fuel for the hunt. The air was thick with pine and rot, the trail narrowing as they neared the coordinates. Hunters' reports of smoke a chilling sign Amos was near, his DNA on Delilah's bloodied uniform, a noose tightening around him. Carter's radio crackled, Dr. Patel's voice cutting through. "Dana's unstable, Lila's fighting to stay in control. We're keeping her sedated, but you need to see this." Carter's gut twisted, the name Lila Delilah's shadow, born in traumatizing Dana's fractured mind to the cabin they were closing in on. At the hospital, Dana thrashed against her restraints, her eyes wild, her voice shifting to Lila's sharp cadence. "He's waiting, don't go," before nurses injected a sedative, her body slumping, the locket's absence a wound she clutched at. Patel's notes, faxed to the cruiser, described Lila as a protector, guarding Dana from memories too horrific to face, but her warning about Amos felt like a beacon, urging Carter forward. The trail ended at a clearing, the cabin squatting in shadow, its boards warped, windows boarded, smoke curling faintly from a hidden vent, proof of life. Carter signaled silence, his team fanning out, Reese clutching the key, Ellie's flashlight catching a tripwire glinting in the dirt, a trap Amos had set. They stepped over it, hearts pounding, the cabin's door ajar, its hinges rusted but oiled, a sign of recent use. Inside, the air was sour with mildew and blood. The same wooden walls from the video, hunting gear rusted but intact, a trapdoor in the floor half covered by a rug, matching Lila's hypnotic words. Carter's flashlight swept the room, landing on a table strewn with papers, maps, receipts, a photo of the twins, their faces circled in red, a knife stabbed through Delilah's image, its blade crusted with something dark. Ellie gagged, her hand covering her mouth, as Reese pried open the trapdoor, revealing a dirt cellar, its walls scratched with tally marks, a child's desperate count of days. The key fit a locked box in the corner, its lid creaking to reveal a journal, Amos's scrawl detailing deliveries to men in suits. Girls taken, sold, the twins a special order gone wrong when Delilah fought back. Carter's blood ran cold, Amos's past crimes trafficking, abductions spilling from the pages, his role in a network that stretched beyond Willow Creek, the twins' mother silenced when she'd suspected him. Back at the hospital, Dana's sedation wore off, her screams echoing as Lila seized control, her body bolting upright, nurses scattering as she tore at her her voice a snarl. "You're too late, he knows." Patel tried to calm her, but Lila's eyes locked on a window, her finger pointing to the forest, as if seeing the cabin's search unfold. A nurse called Carter, her voice frantic, and he ordered a deputy to guard Dana, fearing Amos had eyes on her, his network still active. In the cabin, a floorboard creaked behind them, and Carter spun, his gun raised, but it was only a rat, scurrying through the dark. Yet the sound snapped their nerves, the sense of being watched growing. Reese bagged the journal, his hands shaking, but as they turned to leave, a metallic click froze the second tripwire, missed in the gloom, triggering a hidden blade that swung from the wall, grazing Ellie's arm, blood welling as she stumbled. Carter caught her, his shout drowned by a low rumble outside, an engine, not their cruiser, growling closer. They scrambled out, the journal secure, but headlights pierced the clearing, a battered truck Amos's, from old photos barreling toward them, its grill a snarling threat. Carter fired, the bullet sparking off the hood, but the truck swerved, crashing through brush, vanishing into the trees, Amos's shadow taunting them. Ellie clutched her arm, her face pale but set. "He's running, but he's not gone." And Carter nodded. The journal a weapon now, its secrets enough to bury Amos and his network. At the hospital, Dana's outburst peaked, Lila's voice screaming through her, "We got out together." Before collapsing, her words a revelation shared survival. Delilah's spirit fused with Dana's, a truth Carter felt, but couldn't grasp. The journal's entries burned in his mind. Amos's crimes a map to justice, but the truck's escape meant the fight wasn't over. Dana's fractured mind and Lila's warnings the key to finding him before he struck again. The forest's heart pulsed with menace, its pines swallowing the dawn as Sheriff Carter's cruiser roared down a rutted trail, chasing the ghost of Amos Reed's truck, its taillights a fleeting red smear through the underbrush. Detective Reese gripped the dashboard, the journal's damning pages Amos's trafficking network, the twins' captivity clutched in his lap, while Deputy Ellie, her arm bandaged from the cabin's trap, scanned the trees, her shotgun ready, the sting of Amos's escape fueling her grit. Rain-slicked branches lashed the windshield, the storm's remnants a roar in their ears, but Carter's focus was razor-sharp. Amos's truck tracks veering toward a ravine, proof the recluse was alive, still running, still a threat. The hospital's last call burned in Carter's mind. Dana's Lila screaming, "We got out together," a clue that Dana and Delilah had escaped Amos, but only Dana's body returned, her mind a vault where Lila guarded Delilah's truth. The trail twisted, the cruiser skidding as Carter spotted the truck, abandoned, its hood steaming, door ajar, Amos gone into the woods. "He's on foot," Reese growled, leaping out, his flashlight cutting through the mist, footprints sinking into mud, leading deeper into the forest's black maw. Carter radioed for backup, his voice clipped. Knowing Amos's traps could be anywhere, the journal's mention of safe routes, a taunt from a man who'd planned for this. Ellie found a bloodied rag in the truck, Amos's DNA likely, a sign he was injured, desperate, and Carter's pulse-quickened cornered animals were deadly. At the hospital, Dana writhed under sedation, Dr. Patel's voice guiding her through another session, her monitors spiking as memories clawed free, her lips trembling. "The river. We ran to the river." Patel's pen flew, the words matching a river near Amos's cabin, a piece of the escape, but when Patel pressed, "Who ran, Dana?" her voice shifted, Lila's sharp edge cutting through. "Don't make her remember, he'll kill us." The defiance stunned Patel, Lila's resistance a wall protecting Dana from a truth too raw. But the river gave Carter a target, radioed to him mid-chase. In the forest, the team tracked Amos's prints, the ground softening to swamp, reeds slicing their hands as they pushed forward. The river's rush audible now, a guidepost to the twins' past. Reese spotted a snare, its wire glinting, and Carter sidestepped it, his gun raised, every shadow a threat. The prints led to a clearing. The river's bank churned with old Mark II small sets. From 04, the twins' desperate flight, and Amos's heavier boots, fresh, circling back. Carter's heart sank, the journal's special order echoing. Delilah's defiance the spark that broke Amos's plan. A rustle snapped their focus. Amos's silhouette darting through the trees, his limp slowing him, a rifle slung across his back. "Freeze!" Carter shouted, but Amos dove behind a boulder, a shot cracking, the bullet grazing Reese's shoulder, blood blooming as he cursed, dropping the journal. Ellie fired back, her shotgun's roar scattering birds, and Carter lunged for the journal, tucking it into his vest, his eyes locked on Amos's shadow, moving fast despite the limp. The chase surged, the river's edge a slick trap, mud sucking at their boots as Amos sprinted toward a fallen log bridge. Its planks rotted but passable. Carter's lungs burned, his shout drowned by the river's roar, but Amos slipped, his rifle clattering into the water, his snarl audible as he scrambled up, a knife flashing in his hand. Ellie tackled Reese to cover, his wound slowing him, and Carter closed the gap, his gun trained. "It's over, Amos." But Amos laughed, a guttural sound, and hurled a rock, forcing Carter to duck, giving him seconds to cross the bridge. At the hospital, Dana's memories broke through, her voice a whisper. "Delilah pushed me." She stayed behind. and Patel's gasp marked the shift. Lila silent now, letting Dana speak. The escape's cost, surfacing Delilah's sacrifice to save her twin. The river, the log bridge, matched Dana's words, and Patel radioed Carter, her voice urgent. She's remembering Amos chased them there. In the forest, Carter vaulted the bridge. Amos just ahead, his knife glinting as he turned, lunging with feral rage, his blade slicing Carter's forearm, pain searing but not stopping him. Carter tackled Amos, both men crashing into the mud, fists flying, the journal slipping but caught by Ellie, who'd caught up, her shotgun raised. Amos's strength was fading, his breath ragged, and Carter pinned him, cuffs snapping shut, his snarl fading to a defeated grunt. The river roared beside them, its current a mirror to 04, where Delilah's stand gave Dana life. Dana's voice, relayed by Patel, echoed in Carter's mind. Lila kept me going, a truth that Amos's capture couldn't erase. Delilah was gone, but Lila was her echo, born to carry Dana through. The team dragged Amos back, his cabin's secrets now his chains, but Dana's fractured mind held the final piece, Lila's resistance, a shield that had to break for healing to begin. Sheriff Carter's hand still shook from pinning Amos Reed, the cuffs biting into the recluse's wrists as Deputy Ellie hauled him toward the cruiser, the journal proof of his trafficking ring safe in her vest, its pages a litany of horrors that made the forest's shadows feel alive. The river's roar faded behind them, but Dana's words, relayed by Dr. Patel, echoed in Carter's mind. Delilah pushed me. Lila kept me going, a fractured truth that tied Dana's Lila personality to her twin sacrifice, a shield against the trauma Amos inflicted. Detective Reese, blood seeping through his bandaged shoulder, limped beside them, his eyes scanning the trees. Amos's escape attempt a warning that his lair held more secrets, more traps. At the hospital, Dana's monitors spiked, her body rigid under Patel's watch, her voice swinging between her own and Lila's. A war within that stalled the investigation, Lila's defiance. Don't make her see. Blocking memories Patel needed to map Amos's crimes. The station buzzed with urgency, forensics rushing to process the journal, its entries naming accomplices, drop points, and the twins' special order, but Amos's silence under interrogation, his cold smirk, hinted at something hidden, a final play. Carter's radio crackled, Ellie's voice cutting through. The journal mentions a secondary Cytia bunker under the cabin, missed in our sweep. Carter's pulse surged, the cabin's trapdoor flashing in his mind, its cellar too small for a bunker, suggesting a hidden chamber, a vault for Amos's darkest deeds. He ordered Amos locked down, his team regrouping at the forest's edge, flashlights piercing the dusk as they trekked back to the cabin, the air heavy with rot and dread, every snap of a twig a threat. The cabin loomed, its warped boards a silent witness to 2004, and Carter's team descended into the cellar, their boots scuffing tally-marked walls, the twins' desperate count of days a gut punch. Reese found a loose stone, his fingers prying until a click revealed a concealed door, its hinges oiled, leading to a concrete bunker, its air thick with mildew and something fouler blood, old but unmistakable. Inside, chains hung from bolts, a rusted cot sat in the corner, and a stack of Polaroids spilled across a table, images of girls, some the twins, their eyes hollow, Amos's handwriting scrawled on each, names, dates, prices. Ellie's breath hitched, her flashlight trembling, as Carter bagged the photos, his jaw tight, the journal's deliveries now faces, lives stolen. A locked safe stood against the wall, its dial unyielding, but the key from the rusted car's box fit perfectly, its click a gunshot in the silence, revealing cash, fake IDs, and a ledger mirroring the journal, listing Amos's buyers, a network stretching to Atlanta. The bunker's proof was damning, but a faint hum stopped Carter colder wire, barely visible, running from the safe to the ceiling, a trap Amos hadn't disarmed. Out, Carter shouted, but the hum grew, a click echoing as the bunker's door began to slide shut, steel grinding, a mechanism meant to seal them in. Reese Dove, wedging his shotgun in the gap, metal screeching as the door jammed, sparks flying, but a second trap triggered, gas hissing from vents, its acrid bite burning their lungs. Ellie coughed, her eyes streaming, and Carter grabbed her, shoving Reese through the narrowing gap. The ledger clutched tight, their bodies scraping concrete as they tumbled into the cellar, the bunker sealing with a thud, gas trapped inside. They staggered out, gasping, the forest spinning, but the evidence was secure, Amos's guilt undeniable, his network exposed. At the hospital, Dana's session spiraled, Patel's hypnosis breaking through Lila's wall, Dana's voice trembling as she relived the escape. Delilah cut the ropes. We ran, but he caught her. Lila surged, her scream raw. I won't let her break, halting the memory, her protectiveness a cage around Delilah's fate. Patel radioed Carter, her voice urgent. Dana's close to the truth, but Lila's fighting it's tearing her apart. Carter's heart sank, the bunker's horrors mirroring Dana's pain. The Polaroids a gallery of Amos's victims, Delilah among them, her sacrifice the spark that saved Dana. The team limped back, sirens wailing as backup arrived, the ledger and photos handed to forensics. But Amos's smirk in custody haunted Carter, his silence a taunt that more traps waited, maybe human ones, his buyers still free. Dana's clash with Lila was the key, her memories the map to Delilah's end, and Carter knew the next session would push her to the edge, forcing her to face the bunker's truth, the blood on its walls, and the sister she carried inside, a sister who'd never left but could no longer hide. The Willow Creek police station was a pressure cooker, its air thick with sweat and urgency, as Sheriff Carter leaned over Amos Reed in the interrogation room. The traffickers smirk a taunt that mocked the Polaroids and ledger now locked in evidence, their images of stolen girls, Delilah, among them burning in Carter's mind. Amos's cuffs clinked as he leaned back, his scarred hands folded, his silence a wall, but the journal's proof and the bunker's horrors had cracked his armor, his eyes flickering when Carter slammed the twins' photo on the table, Dana and Delilah's faces staring back, their terror a silent scream. Deputy Ellie watched through the one-way glass, her arm still stinging from the cabin's trap, while Detective Reese, shoulder-bandaged, coordinated with Atlanta PD, the ledger's name sparking raids across the state, Amos's network crumbling but not dead. At the hospital, Dana's screams echoed down the hall. Doctor, Patel's hypnosis session spiraling as Lila's voice surged. Stop digging, or she breaks. Her defiance a desperate shield against memories Patel pushed to unearth. Delilah's sacrifice cutting Dana's ropes, staying behind teetering on the edge of revelation. Carter's radio crackled, Patel's voice frantic. Dana's crashing, Lila's taking over, but we're close to the truth. Carter's gut churned, the station's clock ticking like a bomb. Amos's smirk hinting at a final card, maybe a trap beyond the bunker. He leaned closer, his voice low. Talk, Amos, or the feds bury you. But Amos's laugh, guttural and cold, cut through. You think it's over? Check your hospital. The words were a blade, and Carter bolted, radioing Ellie to lock Amos down, his cruiser screaming toward the hospital, Reese in tow, the Polaroid's images, Delilah's defiant eyes fueling his dread. The hospital was chaos, nurses scattering as Dana, unrestrained, tore through the ward, her eyes wild, Lila's voice snarling. He's here, her finger pointing to shadows, her body moving with a child's agility, dodging orderlies. Patel chased, her clipboard abandoned, shouting, She's hallucinating, Amos. But Carter's gut screamed otherwise. Amos's taunt check your hospital ringing true. He scanned the halls, his gun drawn, spotting a janitor's cart, its owner gone, a walkie-talkie crackling with static, not hospital issue. Reese checked the security feed, his curse sharp. Man in a cap, slipped into the stairwell, matches Amos's build. Carter's blood ran cold, Amos's network alive. A hitman sent to silence Dana, the last witness. He radioed Ellie, get Amos's cellmates talking, and sprinted after Dana, her screams leading to the hospital's basement, a maze of pipes and flickering lights, her barefoot steps echoing. Lila's voice chanting, We got out. We got out. Carter caught her, his hands gentle but firm, her eyes shifting Dana's fear. Lila's rages, she swung a wrench, grazing his shoulder, her cry raw. You'll make her die again. Patel caught up, her voice steady. Lila, let Dana speak. And Dana's body slumped, her own voice breaking through. Delilah stayed. She fought him for me. The words were a wound, the basement's chill, a mirror to 2004, and Carter's flashlight caught Movementer's shadow, the hitman, his knife glinting as he lunged from behind a boiler. Carter shoved Dana aside, his gun firing, the bullet sparking off pipes, the hitman dodging, his knife slashing Carter's thigh, pain searing but not stopping him. Reese barreled in, tackling the man, their bodies crashing into crates, the knife skidding across the floor, and Carter cuffed him, blood dripping, his breath ragged. Dana curled against the wall, Patel kneeling beside her, her voice guiding, "Dana, Lila, you're safe now." And Dana's eyes cleared, her whisper trembling, "Lila's Delilah, she never left me." The truth broke. Delilah's death in the forest, her fight giving Dana time to run, her spirit woven into Lila, a personality born to carry the pain, to keep Dana whole. Carter's radio buzzed, Ellie's voice triumphant. Amos's cellmate flip-named the hitman linked to Atlanta. The network was collapsing, Amos's last play foiled, but Dana's tears, as she clutched the air where her locket once hung, were a heavier truth. Delilah's loss a scar no arrest could heal. Patel's hand rested on Dana's, her words soft. "Lila's part of you. Danashi saved you, and you can carry her forward." Dana nodded, her sobs easing. A choice to embrace Lila not as a shield but as a sister, a strength to face the pain. The basement's shadows lifted, sirens outside signaling more arrests. Amos's empire dust, but Dana's heart bore the cost. Delilah's sacrifice, the light that guided her home, a light she'd never let fade. The hospital basement's chill clung to Sheriff Carter's skin, his thigh throbbing from the hitman's knife as he tightened the cuffs on the would-be killer. The man's bloodied face, a grim trophy of Amos Reed's collapsing empire, his network's last gasp snuffed out in Willow Creek's shadows. Dana huddled against the wall, her breath shallow, Dr. Patel's arm around her, her eyes flickering between her own and Lila's, the revelation Lila as Delilah's echo, born from her sister's sacrifice still raw, a wound that bled love and loss. Detective Reese, bruised but standing, radioed for backup, his voice steady as Atlanta PD confirmed raids, the ledger's names yielding arrests, Amos's trafficking ring unraveling like thread, pulled from a seam. Deputy Ellie stormed in, her arm bandaged but her grip firm on Amos's journal, its pages now with forensics, its proof Polaroids, ledgers, the twins ordeal enough to bury Amos for life. Carter's gaze met Dana's, her face pale but resolute, the locket's absence a ghost in her clenched fist. And he knew the fight wasn't over, not for her, not while Delilah's memory burned in her fractured mind. The station was a whirlwind, Amos in a cell, his smirk gone, his confession spilling under pressure, the twins, taken for a buyer, Delilah's defiance breaking his plan, her death by the river when she fought to free Dana, her body lost to the current, never found. Carter's heart sank, the bloodied shoe, the uniform in the rusted car, all that remained of Delilah, but Amos's words confirmed Dana's truth. Delilah's stand, her push to save her twin, birthing Lila to carry Dana through 20 years of hiding, of surviving. At the hospital, Dana's therapy resumed, Patel's voice a lifeline as she guided her through the pain, Lila's resistance fading, her voice softer now. She's ready, a surrender that let Dana face the river, the ropes, Delilah's final cry. Dana wept, her hands trembling, but Patel's notes captured progress. Lila wasn't a barrier but a bridge, a part of Dana that held Delilah's courage, her love, a personality to integrate, not erase. The town rallied, Dana's mother, grey but unbroken, returning to Willow Creek, her embrace a tether as Dana moved to a care facility, its gardens a stark contrast to the forest's dark. Carter visited, his badge heavy with the case's toll, but Dana's small smile, her first in weeks, was alight, her words halting but clear. Lila's still here, but she's not fighting me anymore. The locket, recovered from the hospital windowsill, rested in her palm, its D&D engraving a vow to never forget. Ellie dug deeper, her files unearthing Amos's accomplices, the buyer's network dismantled, justice a slow but steady tide, while Reese coordinated with feds, ensuring Amos's life sentence, his cabin razed, its bunker sealed, a scar on the forest erased. Dana's sessions grew stronger, Patel's reports noting integration, Lila's voice blending with Dana's, a harmony born of grief but rooted in strength. Delilah's spirit no longer a ghost but a pulse in Dana's heart. The town's news vans left, Willow Creek healing with Dana, its grief for Delilah etched in a memorial by the river, a stone carved with D&D, where Dana laid flowers, her mother's hand in hers, their tears, a quiet hymn. Carter stood back, his own scarce-knife wounds, sleepless nights a price for truth, but Dana's growth, her steps toward a life reclaimed, was worth it. She spoke at a community vigil, her voice steady. Delilah saved me, and I'll carry her always. Her words a beacon, Lila's presence a silent nod in her eyes, a sister never lost. Months later, Dana worked in the facility's garden, her hands in soil, a new locket around her neck, its engraving simple, together. Patel's final report called her progress remarkable. Lila a strength, not a fracture. Dana's love for Delilah, a root that held her firm. Carter drove past the river, the memorial stone catching the sun, and felt peace, the twins' story no longer a mystery but a testament. Dana's survival a victory over Amos's dark, her healing a light that outshone the forest's shadows. The town moved on, its wounds softer, and Dana's laughter, faint but growing, echoed in the garden, a sound Delilah would have loved, a sound that proved she'd never truly left, her courage woven into Dana's every breath, a bond no time could break. A twin's return unraveled a dark secret, leading to justice and healing as her sister's spirit lived on within. Thanks for listening. Like, share and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell to never miss our latest gripping stories. Stay tuned for more.